when I go to schools, I often ask kids how long they think it takes me to write a book. And usually I'm sort of messing with them, and I'll hold up a picture book and they'll guess, 4 hours, a weekend. And a book that's no longer in print, but a folktale that I wrote called The Magic Kerchief actually is 1,400 words, and it took me 10 years to write. And even the adults, the teachers in the audience cannot believe that. So I actually think picture books are about the hardest genre to write because every word has to earn its way into the story. But I feel a huge responsibility because I'm writing for the younger reader, the reader who is going to become the reader who's reading for the rest of his or her life. And so I spend a lot of time on what I do. No author gets the first draft published. I don't think. I find maybe someone says they do, but I don't believe them. So, it's my 20th or 15th or 30th draft that gets published. I get a little bit nervous about that word teaching because a lot of people will ask me, well, what are you trying to teach with your stories? Or what do you want the reader to come away with? And I want the reader to take away whatever he or she needs to take away from my stories. I'm not trying to teach kids a lesson, and so teach gets a little scary to me, but I guess what I do try to do is understand a time period well enough myself that I could create people moving believably in that world without stopping to explain, oh yes, and by the way, she was wearing her, her dungarees, which in 1940 you would roll up 2 turns, because once you, if you scan your manuscript and you see that there's big chunks of information, you're starting to be a history teacher, and that's not what I want to do. Not that there aren't wonderful history teachers, I don't mean that, but I am not a good history teacher, so I'm telling a story. I'm a terrible outliner, but what I do, a trick I learned from my son who went to film school, I write scene notes on 3x5 cards, and then I just keep a stack of them by my computer. And so if I'm stuck on a scene, so I will kind of write out of order too. So I never worry about writer's block because I always have another card on the pile I can work with. I remember the first writing conference I ever went to when I was so impressionable and just soaking it all in, all of these published people. So the first session I went in the day, this woman, a very authoritative woman, was saying, you must outline, and if you don't outline, you have no idea what your story is. And so, okay, I was feeling guilty because I didn't outline. And then I went, absolutely the next session I went to was a woman who said, oh, never outline, it will kill your, creativity. And so I slowly began to realize you have to find your own way. And outlining is perfect for some people, and it's not perfect for me. I think every book feels so different that I feel like I'm learning whatever lesson I need to learn for that book. This one was filling in the blanks and realizing that even though this time period, there's a lot of hopelessness for people of Japanese descent, I couldn't leave on that note for my readers. I needed to leave them with a sense of hope and future. And so that I really had to think about the ending of that one. The book that's coming out in the spring, what I learned from that is that it's okay to do something that sounds totally crazy, like have 5 different voices, including one of them being a doll, which I still can't even believe I did it, but I did it and it worked and I had a great time. But I think each book, I don't know if I could say what I learned from each book that carries over to the next. Just, I guess, that you can do it. Kirby, you can finish a book. You have done it before. You'll do it again. Whatever you need to do to make time for yourself to write. And it's not find time, it's make time. So, if that means you're going to be writing while you take the bus to your job, a friend of mine did that, wrote 3 or 4 novels that way. If it means you're writing when the kids are napping, you have to do it because it's not going to happen any other way. And believe in yourself enough to do that. I was lucky. I had a very supportive family, and so I didn't, very, very rarely did anyone say, when are you going to get something published? Because it took me a few years to get my first book published. So I would just say, you're worth believing in yourself, and no one else can write the story that you're going to write. Nobody else. So if you don't write it, the world will be missing your story.